As the sun begins to rise over the horizon of the vast African savanna, stretching mainly across countries such as Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, and South Africa, it bathes the landscape in golden and coppery hues. The air is still fresh, yet already hints at the relentless midday heat to come. Beneath that soft, deceptive light, thousands of eyes open. Some are searching for food. Others are trying not to become it. Welcome to the African savanna, home to the most lethal animals on the planet. In this documentary, we will venture into the heart of one of the oldest and most unforgiving ecosystems in the world. Here, every day is a battle for survival, and every creature that walks, flies, or crawls plays a role in the delicate balance between predator and prey. This vast land, marked by endless plains, solitary acacia trees, and immense skies, is the domain of legendary hunters. Lions, leopards, cheetahs, hyenas, crocodiles, and birds of prey coexist in a constant dance of instinct, strategy, and brute strength. But hunting on the savanna is not as simple as it seems. It is an art that demands precision, knowledge of the terrain, and sometimes pure patience. The lion, symbol of power and animal royalty, is one of the undisputed stars of this natural drama. But behind its reputation as king lies a far more complex story. The real hunters are the lionesses, who operate as a team with astonishing coordination. They communicate through subtle gestures, position themselves strategically, and when the moment comes, they attack. This is not just a hunt. It's a deadly choreography perfected over millennia. However, their success rate is low. Only 1 out of every 4 ambushes ends with prey captured. The rest result in escapes, failed pursuits, and wasted energy. On the savanna, even kings go hungry. And when a hunt fails, the entire pride suffers. In contrast, the cheetah bets on a completely different tactic: speed. It is the fastest land animal in the world, capable of reaching speeds up to 112 kilometers per hour. Its body is built for running: a flexible spine, long legs, and a powerful heart that pumps blood to every muscle during the short but explosive sprint. But that same specialization is also its weakness. It can maintain that speed for only a few seconds. If it fails in that attempt, it not only loses its prey, it risks its life due to exhaustion. Then there's the leopard, the master of stealth. It doesn't run, it doesn't roar, it doesn't show itself. It glides through the underbrush like a lurking shadow. Its technique is simple: get as close as possible without being seen, and strike with maximum precision. Once it captures its prey, it drags, sometimes lifting more than double its own weight, it up into the branches of a tree. There, away from scavengers and competitors, it enjoys its meal. The leopard is patient, discreet, and terribly efficient. But not all hunters on the savanna walk on 4 legs. Along riverbanks, hidden beneath muddy waters, waits the Nile crocodile. Unmoved and motionless, it looks like just another rock. But when a group of thirsty wildebeests or careless zebras approaches, it transforms into a living trap. Its bite is among the most powerful in the animal kingdom, capable of breaking bones and dragging victims underwater without a trace. It doesn't need to run or plan. It only needs to wait. And there's more. Because the savanna isn't only a battlefield for big cats and armored giants. It also shelters smaller, quieter, yet equally deadly predators: venomous snakes, hunting birds, nocturnal mammals with sharpened senses. Each has its own technique, its own biological clock, its own hunter's hour. And precisely when the sun begins to set and shadows stretch across the warm dust, another chapter of this story begins. Because when night falls on the African savannah, danger does not end. It simply changes form. When the sun finally disappears beyond the horizon, the African savannah transforms. The suffocating heat gives way to a cooler breeze, shadows lengthen, and life shifts rhythm. But this is not a time for rest. Quite the opposite. It's the perfect hour for a new kind of hunter. Those who dominate the darkness, the nocturnal predators. Night on the savannah is not silent. It is a chorus of sharp sounds, whispers of wings, crunches of grass underfoot, brief shrieks. Here, the slightest movement can be the prelude to an attack. Darkness is not a barrier, but an ally for those who have developed extraordinary senses. Where the human eye barely discerns shapes, these hunters see with stunning clarity. One of the undisputed kings of the night shift is the leopard. Although it also hunts during the day, it feels most comfortable under the starry sky. Its night vision is 7 times better than ours, and its padded paws allow it to move in complete silence. It doesn't roar, it doesn't run. It watches from the shadows, waits for the perfect opportunity, and when it arrives, attacks with surgical precision. Within seconds, the prey falls, without noise, without spectacle, just lethal efficiency. But the leopard is not alone. Spotted hyenas, often underestimated, emerge from their dens when the moon rises. For a long time, they were considered mere scavengers, but that idea is mistaken. Hyenas are ruthless, intelligent, and organized hunters. Their groups, known as clans, can number up to 80 individuals, and when they cooperate in a hunt, no prey is safe. They communicate through shrieks, laughter, and body signals, executing complex ambushes that would make any feline envious. Moreover, their endurance is legendary. They can run for kilometers without stopping, wearing down their prey until it collapses. Their jaws, capable of crushing bone, finish the job. And what's most surprising? Their hunting success rate is even higher than that of lions. Under the stars also soars the African grass owl, a silent hunter of the night. Its wings are adapted for silent flight, allowing it to approach prey undetected. Its hearing is so precise it can locate a mouse in the grass without seeing it. And once it finds its target, it dives sharply, claws first, delivering a clean, deadly capture. In its world, precision is everything. Another star of the nocturnal realm is the genet, a small cat-like carnivore with a slender body. Agile and fast, it climbs trees, slips between rocks, and feeds on anything it can catch. Insects, rodents, reptiles. Its strength lies not in size, but in adaptability. And in the African night, that means advantage. We mustn't forget the lions. While many believe they hunt exclusively during the day, the truth is they prefer the cover of night. Their low-light vision allows them to detect the slightest movements, and darkness offers the perfect camouflage for ambushes. Once again, the lionesses lead the hunt, approaching their prey from multiple angles, using wind and terrain to their advantage. When they strike, it's like a synchronized wave. By then, it's too late for the victim. However, not all nocturnal hunts succeed. Sometimes the wind shifts direction and betrays the hunters. Other times, the prey detects a vibration, a sound, and flees just in time. Night is generous, but it makes no promises. On the savannah, failure is also part of the natural cycle. And while some hunters fail, others thrive. Like the snakes. The black mamba, feared for its lethal venom and aggression, patrols the ground in search of sleeping rodents or birds. Its attack is so fast that many don't even have time to react. Within seconds, the poison takes effect, and silence returns to the surroundings. Night on the savannah is not just an extension of the day. It is a parallel universe governed by different rules, sounds, and senses. Predators that move in this dark world have evolved to dominate it. Every step, every glance, every attack is the result of millennia of adaptation. But as the sky begins to lighten with the first tones of dawn, a new threat prepares to rise. Because the true spectacle, the most brutal and dazzling of all, is about to begin. When day and night meet on the horizon, one of the most breathtaking events across the entire African continent erupts. The Great Migration, a parade of life and a feast of death for the waiting hunters. As the sky begins to lighten and the first golden rays caress the tops of the acacia trees, something stirs on the ground. A murmur spreads like a distant echo. It's not the roar of a lion, nor the bark of a hyena. It's something deeper, older. It's the drumbeat of thousands of hooves pounding the dry dust. It's the beginning of one of the most extraordinary spectacles on Earth, the Great Migration. Every year, more than 1 million wildebeests, accompanied by hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles, embark on a circular journey spanning over 1,600 kilometers across Tanzania and Kenya, moving in search of fresh grass and water. This phenomenon is not merely a mass relocation. It's a primal exodus that has dictated the rhythm of life and death on the savannah for countless generations. And where there is prey, there are predators. Welcome to the very heart of survival, where every step could be your last. Here, there is no truce, no rest, only constant movement, and hunters waiting at every turn. From above, the spectacle appears hypnotic. Thousands of dark bodies move as a single entity, swirling, pausing, accelerating. But within the herd, chaos is palpable. Mothers search for their calves. Males defend their space. The elderly fall behind, and the weak are the first to fall. The lions know this pattern well. They don't need to move much. The food comes to them. They position themselves strategically near crossing points, in tall grass or under the shade of bushes. They wait. They watch. And when they spot isolated prey, they strike with a ferocity that shakes the ground. But they are not alone. Cheetahs also take advantage of the chaos. Instead of waiting, they sprint toward the edges of the herd, targeting the weakest points, the young, the injured, the distracted. Their attack isn't an ambush. It's a high-speed chase where only the most agile survive. And then there are the hyenas, always present, always alert. Some wait for leftovers. Others hunt directly amid the chaos. They adapt like few others, often being the last to leave a hunting scene, leaving behind clean bones and earth stained by blood. But the most dramatic moment of the Great Migration occurs when the herds must cross rivers. The most feared of all is the Mara River. At first glance, its murky waters appear calm. But beneath the surface hides the continent's most patient and lethal hunter, the Nile crocodile. They can go days without moving, storing energy, waiting for the mass crossing. And when it arrives, the water erupts into a choreography of terror. Desperate wildebeests leap from steep riverbanks. Zebras push each other. Calves cry out searching for their mothers. And the crocodiles strike with chilling violence. Jaws snap shut with impossible force, dragging victims to the bottom to drown. Within minutes, the waters turn red. The river crossing is nature's lottery. Some manage to pass. Others are lost forever. But even those who make it face new threats on the opposite bank. Hungry lions that know the landing spots, leopards hidden among the trees, and hyenas that follow the movement like shadows. However, not everything is tragedy. The Great Migration is also synonymous with birth, with renewal. The rains bring green pastures, and with them the promise of food for all. Calves are born during the journey, many able to stand and run just minutes after birth. It's a clear evolutionary strategy. If you can't run, you die. This titanic event benefits not only the great predators. Scavengers like vultures and jackals find their opportunity among the remains. Even dung beetles and certain insects thrive in this festival of movement, decay, and rebirth. Every species, from the largest to the smallest, plays a role in this brutal and sublime orchestra. And so, with the sun high overhead and dust suspended in the air like a burning haze, the Great Migration continues. Day after day, kilometer after kilometer, life pushes forward, and death follows closely behind. Yet while the world's eyes focus on the big predators, there exists a group of hunters who do not rely on herds or ambushes. They hunt alone, silently. Their specialty is deception, poison, or the killing leap. They are the opportunistic hunters, those who defy the traditional rules of the savannah. While the world watches the lion's ambush, the cheetah's dizzying pursuit, or the Nile crocodile's brutal charge, another class of hunters quietly reigns. They lack powerful muscles and impressive fangs. They don't roar or run at astonishing speeds, but they are equally deadly. They are the opportunistic hunters, discreet, clever, often invisible to the naked eye. These predators have developed techniques that bypass brute strength. They specialize in deception, mimicry, and cunning. They don't impose power, they imply it. They don't dominate by size, they triumph through strategy. One of the most fascinating examples is the African chameleon. Though not a hunter in the traditional sense, its feeding behavior makes it a master of the stalk. Its tongue can extend up to twice the length of its body in a fraction of a second. With independently rotating eyes and nearly perfect camouflage ability, it waits in total stillness, becoming part of the landscape. And when an insect passes close enough, snap! Its tongue fires with surgical precision, and the prey vanishes. There's no chase, only patience and surprise. Closer to the ground, praying mantises lie in wait. These alien-looking hunters blend in with dry branches or green leaves. They may look fragile, but they're fast, calculating, and ruthless. With front legs designed like pincers, they strike insects, lizards, and even small birds with stunning efficiency. They don't need size to dominate. Just posture, timing, and a burst of speed. In the bird world, few match the intelligence and adaptability of the drongo. This small black bird has developed a unique tactic, alarm call mimicry. When observing a group of meerkats or birds feeding, it releases a false danger call. The other species, hearing it, flee believing a predator is near, and the drongo seizes the panic to steal the food. But that's not all. Sometimes it even changes its dialect to imitate different species, tailoring its lie to its audience. A true airborne manipulator. And speaking of cunning, we cannot forget the caracal. This medium-sized feline, little known outside Africa, is an acrobat of murder. Its favorite technique, vertical leaps to catch birds mid-flight. With powerful hind legs and lightning-fast reflexes, it can launch itself up to 2 meters into the air to grab prey with extended claws. It doesn't need to ambush. It doesn't need to run. It only needs the exact moment. Often, with a single jump, it can bring down more than one bird at once. Underground, snakes also deploy masterful strategies. Take the puff adder, for example, a model of ambush hunting. It partially buries itself in sand and waits, motionless, for hours. Its coloration blends perfectly with the terrain. When unsuspecting prey passes nearby, it strikes with a lightning-fast bite. Its venom takes immediate effect, paralyzing the victim before it can escape. But opportunistic hunters don't rely only on venom or camouflage. Some have learned to work with nature in their favor. Such is the case of the honey badger, or ratel. Small compared to other carnivores, this animal combines intelligence, ferocity, and resistance to venom. It doesn't just hunt insects and small vertebrates. It dares to challenge some of the continent's deadliest snakes. When attacking a cobra or mamba, it does so with brutal determination. It can receive a venomous bite, collapse unconscious, and wake hours later to continue eating its prey. A true cold-blooded warrior. And then there are those who hunt without moving. Trapdoor spiders, for instance, build small soil and silk doors that blend seamlessly with the ground. From their hideout, they feel the vibrations of any insect walking nearby, and at the precise moment, they swing open their trap and drag the prey into darkness. It's a millimeter-perfect attack, an ambush that leaves no trace. The African savanna rewards not only strength or speed, it also rewards cunning, precision, and the ability to adapt to every opportunity. These opportunistic hunters are proof that in nature, there is no single way to succeed. Some run, others deceive, and some simply wait. And while these silent predators perfect their art away from the spotlight, an even greater threat looms over the balance of the savanna. Because the true predator, the only one that does not act out of hunger but ambition, has no claws, yet holds the power to change everything. For millions of years, the African savanna has been a stage for pure evolution. Each species has learned its place in the food chain, developing unique tactics to survive. Predators and prey have refined each other in a relentless but fair game. However, in recent generations, a new player has entered the scene. One that does not play by the ecosystem's rules. One that doesn't kill out of necessity but greed, fear, or amusement. That player is humanity. Unlike the natural hunters of the savanna, humans do not adapt to the balance, they destabilize it. With our arrival, the hunting and reproduction cycles of many species have begun to shift. Migration routes are interrupted by roads. Water sources are polluted or diverted. The sounds of wind and wildlife now compete with engines, machinery, and gunshots. Harmony, as ancient as the earth itself, begins to fracture. Poaching is one of the most devastating threats. Although sport hunting is regulated in some countries, the reality is that many animals are hunted secretly, day and night, for their value on the black market. Elephant tusks, rhino horns, leopard skins, even lion claws, all become commodities. Lions, for example, have seen their populations plummet dramatically in recent decades. In many places, their morning roar is no longer heard, and not just because of direct hunting. Habitat loss and the decline of their natural prey also push them to the brink. In some cases, they approach human settlements, hunt livestock, and are then poisoned or killed by the very shepherds who once revered them from afar. Rhinos, especially the black rhino, live under constant threat. Despite their imposing presence and thick skin, they cannot defend themselves against the deadliest weapon: human greed. A single horn can fetch astronomical prices on illegal Asian markets, where it is still falsely believed to have medicinal properties. The result? Populations on the verge of collapse, guarded day and night by armed rangers trying to protect them from an invisible but ever-present enemy. Human impact isn't limited to hunting alone. Habitat fragmentation is another silent enemy. Lands that were once migratory paths for thousands of wildebeests or zebras are now divided by fences, crops, and buildings. Every lost meter is one less fragment of freedom for species that have relied on these corridors for centuries. The leopard, for instance, avoids contact with humans at all costs. But when its territory shrinks, it is forced into populated areas and often doesn't survive the encounter. Despite this bleak picture, not all is lost. Awareness about conservation is growing. Community-based projects, nature reserves, and protected areas have managed to slow down and in some cases reverse biodiversity loss. Some African countries have implemented armed patrols to protect endangered species. In others, local communities have been included as allies in conservation efforts, receiving direct benefits from responsible tourism. In Botswana, for example, elephants have found sanctuary. Thanks to strict policies and a culture of protection, the country has become a model of coexistence. The same is happening in certain regions of Kenya, where white rhino populations have begun to slowly recover, thanks to joint efforts between authorities, NGOs, and indigenous communities. Because coexistence is possible, it is not necessary to choose between human progress and the preservation of wildlife. What is needed is willpower, education, and respect. We must understand that the true value of the savannah lies not in what can be extracted from it, but in what it represents. An ancestral natural legacy that cannot be replicated or replaced. In the end, the question is not only whether wild animals will survive. The real question is whether we as a species will be able to maintain our humanity without destroying the web of life that sustains us. Because while humans continue making decisions in the most remote corners of the savannah, the natural cycle continues. And when evening falls and shadows stretch across the cracked ground, predators return to the spotlight. The hour of the hunter beats once more, like a drum that never stops. In the African savannah, hunting is not a simple act of attack. It is a manifestation of intelligence, calculation, and opportunity. Over millions of years, evolution has shaped not only perfect bodies for stalking, jumping, or ambushing, but also brains capable of planning, learning, and adapting. And it is precisely in these strategies, some surprising, others almost unbelievable, that we find the true genius of predators. One of the most astonishing tactics takes place in the sky. High above, where human eyes rarely look closely, deadly hunters hide. The martial eagle, one of Africa's most powerful birds of prey, dominates the skies of the savannah. With a wingspan that can exceed 2 meters, its talons possess enough force to kill a monkey or a small gazelle mid-flight. Its vision is so sharp it can detect movement from more than 3 kilometers away. But most impressive is its aerial ambush capability. It flies in complete silence, gaining altitude using thermal currents, and then dives at speeds nearing 200 kilometers per hour. The prey often doesn't even sense the attack. One strike, a flap of wings, and then nothing. Under the treetops, African wild dogs, also known as painted wolves, represent another masterful form of hunting. They are the elite strategists of the savannah. What they lack in size or brute strength, they make up for with group coordination, constant communication, and endurance that defies limits. A pack can run over 5 kilometers chasing prey without breaking formation or rhythm. They take turns exhausting the target, corner it with surgical precision, and once isolated, attack with terrifying efficiency. Their hunting success rate is among the highest on the continent, surpassing even lions. Everything they do is as a team. Each member has a role. Each movement is part of a shared plan. Another brilliant example of cooperation exists in the world of meerkats. Though not predators in the traditional sense, their way of feeding and surviving is a lesson in collective strategy. While some dig for insects, scorpions, or eggs, others stand guard on their hind legs, watching the sky and horizon. If they spot a hawk or snake, they emit a sharp call that puts the group to safety within seconds. Even pups are assigned roles from an early age. It's not just about hunting. It's about living together, adapting, and protecting one another. And then there are the unexpected hunters, those that defy traditional categories. The honey guide, for example, is a small, unassuming bird that has developed an amazing alliance with humans and some mammals, like the honey badger. When it detects a beehive, it emits a particular call to attract the attention of its partner. It guides them to the honey, knowing that they will open the hive. Once the feast is over, the bird feeds on the leftovers, wax, larvae, pieces of the comb. It's an ancient agreement based on trust and exchange, a cross-species alliance that many still don't fully understand. Another fascinating case is that of the vervet monkey, which has developed a complex alarm language. But what makes it a clever hunter is its ability to manipulate situations. Individuals have been observed giving false alarm calls to create confusion among other groups, allowing them to steal food or drive away rivals. Once again, intelligence becomes a weapon. And we must not forget the owls, silent hunters who dominate the night with a combination of acute hearing and noiseless flight. Their technique is so precise that they can hunt a mouse in total darkness, guided solely by the sound of its paws on the grass. In a world where light disappears, they continue to hunt with an efficiency that borders on perfection. The savannah is not only about strength and ferocity, it's also about mind, memory, and adaptation. Each species has developed its own hunting manual, refined over time and experience. Some specialize in speed, others in patience, some in teamwork, others in deception. But all share something in common: the ancestral drive to survive. And as we explore these fascinating techniques, it's impossible not to wonder, what does it take to hunt successfully in a place where every mistake can cost you your life? The answer isn't always found in the body. Often, it lies in the brain. Yet even in this wild universe, there are unwritten rules, codes of behavior, hierarchies, and even moments of respect between species. Because hunting doesn't always mean killing. Sometimes, it means domination without violence. In the African savannah, hunting is synonymous with survival. But it is also a stage where the unexpected frequently occurs, breaking patterns we thought were fixed. Because here, even the deadliest predators fail. And in those failures, in those cracks in the natural script, moments emerge that reveal a deeper truth. In nature, not everything is about strength. Sometimes there is room for surrender, for learning, and rarely for something that closely resembles compassion. One of the most surprising aspects of hunting is how often it fails. Despite their reputation for infallibility, lions succeed in only 1 out of every 4 ambushes. The wind changes. The prey detects a sound. A calf steps into the path. Suddenly, the carefully planned strategy collapses. The lionesses pant, exhausted. The dust settles. The roar of frustration fades into the air. In those moments, we see that even the most feared hunters are vulnerable. The cheetah, king of speed, also has its limits. Often after a high-speed chase, it collapses from overheating. If it fails to catch its prey in the first few seconds, it must stop, not by choice, but for survival. And then, standing alone between the dust and relentless sun, we see it tremble, panting, not as a killer, but as a being that has lost the battle of the day. But these failures also teach. In many species, young ones observe from a distance. Imagine a small lioness, hidden behind bushes, watching her mother fail at a hunt. There is no scolding, no punishment. Only the silent lesson that even the best can make mistakes, and that each error carries value. In the following weeks, that same cub will imitate her mother's movements, practicing stealthy strides, rehearsing ambushes on dry leaves or unsuspecting insects. In the savannah, failure is also part of learning. And there are other moments, rarer, more puzzling, that defy Darwinian logic. Documented cases show lionesses adopting orphaned fawns like gazelle calves. Instead of killing them, they protect them for days. There is no definitive scientific explanation. Maternal instinct, confusion, a simple biological error? Whatever the cause, the result is a scene that dismantles any preconception about wild nature. A baby that should be food, sleeping under the mane of its hunter. Even between species, signs of respect or negotiation sometimes emerge. Studies have observed jackals approaching a lion guarding prey. They approach submissively, circle the perimeter, and wait their turn. They don't dare compete, yet they aren't immediately driven away. There is a hierarchy, yes, but also a strange, silent pact. All hunt, all eat if they know their place. At times, prey also makes surprising decisions. Mother wildebeests, for example, are known to confront hyenas or cheetahs to defend their young, even when they have little chance of winning. In those moments, courage overrides the flight instinct. Some manage to scare off the predator with a charge. Others die trying. But the act reveals something far more complex than mere survival. It is love, sacrifice. We've also seen scenes where predators stop short, where they have the opportunity, but choose not to strike. A leopard watches an orphaned baboon infant and decides not to approach. A lion walks past a young gazelle and continues on his way. Fatigue? Previous satisfaction? Or perhaps a spark of something scientists still don't fully understand? Because although everything on the savannah seems governed by strict biological rules, animal behavior is also full of nuance. Decisions aren't always mechanical. There is instinct, yes, but also history, learning, context, and perhaps something close to awareness. In these moments of ambiguity, of surrender or unexpected tenderness, the savannah reminds us that its complexity goes beyond what we see. It is not just a stage of violence, but of deep stories written every day without anyone telling them. And just when we think we've seen it all, the savannah offers its final act, one not of death or hunting, but of balance. Because amid chaos, dust, and blood, there is always an order that restores itself. The African savannah is much more than a battlefield between life and death. It is an ancient, delicate fabric, a hidden network connecting every creature in an age-old balance. This vast landscape is not only home to the deadliest hunters, it is also a testament to wild harmony, where every instinct, every movement, every breath has a purpose. Here, the cycle of life renews itself day after day. The prey that escapes today becomes the force that allows tomorrow's tree to grow. The predator that hunts successfully feeds not only its own body, but also the health of the entire ecosystem. The savannah is a constant lesson in the power of balance, where fury and calm coexist, and where nature reminds us that survival is based not only on strength, but on respect. But this balance is fragile. Humanity's hand, with its rapid progress, has put centuries of coexistence at risk. The disappearance of one species can trigger a domino effect affecting all others. That is why protecting the savannah is not just about preserving animals. It is an act of respect toward life itself, toward the story the earth tells with every sunrise and sunset. Today, more than ever, it is our duty to understand the savannah in all its complexity, to admire its beauty, grasp its challenges, and act to ensure future generations can still hear the lion's roar, the eagle's silent flight, and the whisper of the wind through the acacia trees. Because the African savannah is not just a place. It is a symbol of the eternal struggle between instinct and harmony, between hunter and prey, between strength and compassion. And in that dance, every life matters. May this journey inspire us to become responsible guardians of this fascinating world, so that the hour of the hunter continues to sound, not as an echo of destruction, but as a hymn of life.